Welcome, Aries, to your 2024 yearly reading. So, what we have in front of you are 12 cards, and each card represents 1 month of the year, and each card's going to give you an idea of what you're going to be dealing with for that month of the year. So, let's start out with January and take a look at the card. So, you have the Six of Wands for January. In February, you have the Hermit card. In March, you have the Two of Swords. In April, the Three of Wands. May is the Four of Wands in reverse. And in June, you have the Chariot. Second row in July, second half of the year, you have the Nine of Wands. In August, you have the Nine of Cups. In September, you have the Sun card. October brings you the Seven of Cups. In November, you have the Justice card in reverse. And finally, in December 2024, you have the Eight of Swords in reverse. Okay, so let's begin with January. January, you have the Six of Swords. And when you take a look at this card, it looks like this particular individual is coming back from a battle. And it looks like he's won because here's the wreath up here, a victory wreath, and he has, people beside him, his supporters, celebrating like they're in some sort of a parade, celebrating their win. But, there is something really interesting about this card, and that is this big green blanket over this horse. It looks kind of awkward, like there's something it's covering. And the sixes are what I call a duality number. So what it means is that, on one hand, you're seeing this person winning, celebrating a win of some sort, a victory. But on the other hand, because it's a six, there's always something, opposite to that. And that is what he has lost. And what he has lost is under that green blanket is something you don't see. So in January, you're definitely going to be looking at something that you have lost. And whether that's, usually it's something from your childhood or your adolescence, it could be anything where once you start to look at, your belief systems and your patternings and your conditionings and, the way you were raised, and we come across, some losses that we need to grieve. And sometimes it's all about, if it's to do with our self-worth, it's about the shame that we need to deal with and grieve. And so you're sitting in a place where there's definitely going to be some sort of loss or losses that are going to come up for you to deal with and to process and to heal from them. And that means, healing from the emotions that come along with your losses. And, maybe it's because of that, these losses that are coming up in January, that in February, you take the big decision to go inwards. And the Hermit for me is that card where you begin to sort of isolate yourself. And, isolation can be good and it could be bad. And there's always a good part of isolation in that we take time out for ourselves. We start to sort of pull away from some of the things that we're involved with, or maybe even some of the people that we're involved with, because we need to take time for ourselves to shine a light on, what it is that we need to heal. And isolation is very important on your shadow work journey. I've been in and out of isolation for periods of my life only because I needed to heal. And and then sometimes we can isolate because we just don't want to be around people. We don't want to be triggered by people. So really there's like this avoidance of them. And that's when sometimes isolation can sort of become negative for us. But I'm seeing that this is going to be a positive isolation for you, where you're taking time out for yourself to go inwards and really take a deep dive into these losses from January. And we go into March with this person who has a blindfold on, has two crossed swords over their heart, and they're really trying to make a decision here, trying to decide. And there is a decision to be made here. And this is what the two is. There's a decision to be made, a choice to be made. And this particular individual is caught up in their head with this decision, because you see that it's swords, first of all. So swords bring us in our head. And they've blindfolded themselves, so they can't even see. They can't even see the unconscious part of themselves behind them. And that's what water can represent. Water can represent our emotions and the unconscious part of us that we need to get in touch with. But this particular individual has isolated themselves so much and they've put the blindfolds on, that they can't even see that this decision of, maybe what sword I want to pick here. I mean, it's the exact same thing here. It doesn't matter what sword you pick. But there comes a point in our life when, we have to make a decision. We have to go one way or the other. And we sometimes can freeze in our decisions because we just don't know which one to pick. And we're so petrified or scared that it's going to lead us in the wrong decision. So the one thing I want to leave you with for March is that you're always on the right path. It's, and sometimes you're not aware, you're going to take certain offshoots of this path. And sometimes, they may take you off the path and you'll get back on it. And this is what you have to realize. So it looks like you're in a decision that you need to probably go inwards and find out, what's in these unconscious waters behind you that you need to look at, because it's really going to be a month where you're really up in your head trying to figure out some things for yourself. And in April, you get the Three of Wands. And the Three of Wands tells me, it's a little bit different than the two. The Two of Wands is where you actually start to, look out into the world and realize that there's something out there for you. And the three is actually when you're ready to sort of execute something, whether it's going to be in the Wands is a creative suit, right? So when I talk about creativity, I'm sort of talking about taking your life in a new direction, somewhere where, you haven't really gone before. I don't mean physically, it can be, geographically, you could change your house, change your apartment you're living in, change your living circumstances, and that's being creative. It's something that you're going to do for yourself this year. It's something that is going to involve something maybe that you've never done before, you've always wanted to do. And, maybe in the past, there were some losses here in January that you're starting to look at. And maybe in the past you were told that you weren't allowed to do something, or it was a stupid idea, and so now you're starting to, put you first. You've done some real hermit here, some hermit isolation, and you've gone inwards and you've realized, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. Because after, sitting in March trying to figure out what do I want to do, and now you're realizing, I'm going to go for something. And so in May, this Four of Wands card comes out right after the Three, which is interesting because the Four of Wands in the upright position, excuse me. So the Four of Wands in the upright position is a card of celebration. And a lot of people look at this and say, well, there's a marriage that's going to happen. It's a marriage celebration. But it really is a card where you're celebrating how far you've actually come, because sometimes when we get into this period of, of isolating ourselves and trying to make decisions for ourselves, and we can really our ego can really bash us really at this point and kind of say, you're getting nowhere, this is going to go nowhere, you're going nowhere, and what are you here for? What do you, and the Four of Wands says, this is a time to really start to celebrate how far you've come, because it's in reverse here, and so there is a real blockage, I'm going to say, to seeing how far you've come. And I think you are still a bit up in your head where your ego is telling you that you've gone nowhere, and you're not getting anywhere, and what's the point, and why bother. And so some of these feelings sometimes of really hopelessness can set in, thinking that we're not getting anywhere when we're actually always on the right track. We're actually always moving, but it doesn't feel like it, because sometimes it just takes some time, some healing to get to where we want to go. And in June, so we end off the first part of the year in June with the Chariot card. And, you see this charioteer here who is trying to control these sphinxes. And so let's look at it. For one thing, this charioteer is not moving at all. He has no reins that are connected to these sphinxes. These sphinxes are not moving. And he sees that he's trying to leave this city that's behind him. And we see that he's becoming almost part of this charioteer. And he's really stone-like. He's becoming stone-like. And when we become stone-like, it's because we're really living in our heads, and we're really trying to control our outside environment with our head, with our will. And this is what this charioteer is trying to do. He's trying to move these sphinxes with his will, And if you notice, his wand here is not connected up to the air, up to the sky, up to the universe, like the magician's wand would do, that would be able to, use the power of the universe like a lightning rod and come down and ground himself into the earth and have that infinite power and to be able to do something. And this particular charioteer does not have that wand up in the air, so he's not grounded. He's very much almost cemented here, and he's not grounded at all to the earth. And so sometimes this is a card that comes up that says, there's movement that wants to take place, but you're using your will, which is your mind alone, your conscious mind. And this really is a call to, we do have this power to go inwards, and we do have this power to use our own inner guidance, which is our intuition. And this is what we need to get in touch with, because I've seen that, back in March here, where you were with your up in your head trying to make this decision and using your mind again. And we have such great power if we can go inwards and get in touch with our inner guidance, which is our intuition. In July, here you are with this bandage around your head, like you've just gone through this battle, and it almost looks like you've set up some sort of a wall here for yourself. And that's, whether maybe you're still in some isolation mode, or you've just been, through a rough first part of the year with, trying to get things going and just feeling really weary and tired. And worn out. And so this card is the 9, so it's close to completion, which means that you're almost there. You're almost where you want to be at a certain point in this year. There's something that you want to carry out. This is the creative card. This is the card of what we want to do, what sort of projects we want to undertake, which sort of changes we want to make for ourselves. This is the creative card, being creative for us, doing something we want to do. So this card is a reminder saying, you're almost there. You're feeling like you're worn out. You're feeling like you're tired, but, keep going. Keep going. You're almost there. And then you get another 9, which is quite interesting. But it's a 9 of Cups this time, So it's another card of completion, almost there. But this is very interesting because you get this card in August. And August, this card says that, you have all your Nine of Cups lined up. And for me, your cups are your emotions, your desires, your wishes, your dreams, and you've lined them all up. And you're sitting there and you've decided that, you know what? This is good enough for me. I have my arms crossed and I'm good. I don't want to go um, inwards anymore. I don't need to deal with anything else. But there's one cup here that you need to get to completion, which means it's like one cup deeper. It's one more emotion, one more, sort of period of healing that you might need to go through. And this is what this card is all about, because if you ripped off all those Nine of Cups and you looked underneath that blue blanket, there's the 10th cup for you. So this card is really saying, it's time maybe just to dig a little deeper, go inwards, start to get in touch with your intuition, start to ground your stuff, start to journal, and find out where you can go and how you can get to where you need to go for that 10th card to get to that cycle. September comes around and you're feeling good. Finally, there's some hope. The sun always brings us to a place of hope. The sun can mean quite a few things, but it's a very positive card, right? So you're sitting in a positive place where maybe you're feeling like you're going in the right direction finally. You're seeing some hope. You're seeing that spark of light. So enjoy that period for yourself. In October we have the Seven of Cups here on offer for you. And this is a card where you have this particular individual looking at these cups. 7 of them. And 7 is a number of self-awareness, introspection. And he's looking at all these cups and wow, do they look fascinating. I mean, he's really has all these distractions around him. And he could go in all these different ways. It doesn't matter what cup he picks, but he knows that when he picks something, it's going to take him somewhere. But it's just causing him a lot of distraction right now. So it looks like it's going to be a month of a lot of distraction. And realize that you did come from a couple months where you're feeling, battle worn, and you're being asked kind of to go inwards again and start to ground. And now you're facing all these outer distractions. And that's what happens sometimes when, we know we have to do some more work. We know we got to go dig deeper. We just face all these distractions in our life and we get really tempted by them, right? They tempt us. They take us away from the real shadow work, the real work that we need to do. And in November, finally the Justice card comes in reverse here. And the Justice card is really a card of, getting to the truth of the matter. Finally getting to the truth, bringing things into balance and for yourself. And so here's this real drive again that's picking up in you where you really want to get to the truth, but you're feeling a resistance, and this is why it's in reverse. You're feeling a resistance to get there for some reason, like you're feeling blocked to get there, but there is this want in you to want to get to the truth of maybe some particular matter you're working with. Maybe it could be legal, but it just could be to find out, it could be something like finding out who you really are and getting to the truth of this matter that you're facing. And you'll know what it is when you get to November. You'll know what it is where you want to get some balance around in your life. Because the reason why you want to get to the truth is because finally in December, these 8 of Wands are coming up for you in reverse. And the 8 of Wands, this is this card of creativity and finding who you are and finding yourself and doing something for yourself that's totally different than you've always wanted to do. And the 8 of Wands is that card of infinity where there's so many options out there for you where you just finally say, you know what? I'm going to take those 8 of Wands and I'm going for it. I'm just going to throw them up in the air and I'm going to see where they land. but this card came in reverse for you. So you're going to find that, you're reaching this point where you're going to finally do what you want to do, and there's going to be something else that you just need to work at and something else you need to heal before you do that, because it is blocked. It's coming in, it's coming in reverse here. So it is going to be something that you're going to release to the universe, whether it's a new project you want to do, something you want to do to yourself, something you want to tell people that this is what's going on with me. And yeah, so it's going to take a bit before you get to it. It's going to take a bit of healing, but you're going to get to it. But you just have to work on something else that's just going to come up for you. So you have a very interesting year here, Aries, and I wish you well in 2024. So talk to you later. Bye-bye.